One day, you wake up and realize something terrifying. Your dreams didn't die overnight. They disappeared slowly, quietly, while you kept saying, "I'll start tomorrow." The life you once imagined for yourself, the goals, the talents, the opportunities, all faded away while you were waiting for the perfect moment that never came. And the most painful part? You didn't even notice it happening. Tell me honestly, how many times have you delayed something important? How many times have you promised yourself that tomorrow would be different? Tomorrow you would work harder. Tomorrow you would change. Tomorrow you would finally begin. But somehow, tomorrow keeps moving further away. Hours disappear while scrolling through your phone. Days vanish while making excuses. And before people realize it, years of their lives are already gone. Time is strange. It never screams at you. It never warns you loudly. It simply keeps moving, silently stealing futures from those who waste it carelessly. Welcome to Lessons for Life Tales, a place where stories are not just meant to entertain you, but to wake something up inside you. If you believe stories can change lives, take 1 second right now to subscribe to the channel and join us for more powerful life lessons that may completely change the way you see your future. Today's story is about a boy who had everything he needed to succeed. He was intelligent, kind-hearted, loved deeply by his parents, and respected by his teachers. Everyone believed he had a bright future ahead of him. But hidden behind his potential was one dangerous habit quietly destroying his life: laziness. He delayed everything: homework, responsibilities, opportunities, even his own dreams. Every task was answered with the same words: later. At first, it seemed harmless. But little by little, that single word began stealing his future. And what happened next completely changed his life forever. Every morning, the boy woke up believing he still had plenty of time. Homework could wait. Responsibilities could wait. His future could wait. When his teachers assigned important projects, he tossed them aside and said, "I'll do it later." When his mother asked him to help around the house, he answered with the same lazy promise: later. Always later. At first, nobody thought much about it. He was smart enough to survive without trying too hard. But slowly, something dangerous began happening. While he wasted hours lying in bed, scrolling endlessly, daydreaming, and avoiding effort, the people around him kept moving forward. His classmates learned new skills, practiced sports, mastered instruments, and improved their grades. Some discovered talents they never knew they had. Others became more confident, disciplined, and focused with every passing month. But the boy remained exactly where he was, stuck in the same routine, watching life move ahead without him. Deep down, he noticed it too. Every time report cards came back, the disappointment grew heavier inside him. Friends he once considered equal were now surpassing him in every direction. Their lives seemed to have purpose, momentum, progress. His life felt frozen. His parents warned him constantly. "Time is precious," his father would say with concern in his voice. "One day you'll regret wasting it." His teachers tried to guide him as well, reminding him that small habits shape the future. But their words bounced off his mind like rain hitting stone. He always believed he could change later, that there would always be another chance. Then came the exam that shook him deeply. He failed badly, while many of his friends celebrated their success. That night, sitting alone in silence, he felt something unfamiliar creeping into his heart: fear. For the first time, he realized he was being left behind. Not because he lacked intelligence, but because he kept postponing his own life. Unable to escape the growing frustration inside him, the boy remembered the stories people told about a mysterious wise sage who lived quietly beyond the edge of town. They said the old man understood truths about life that most people never discovered. Desperate for answers, the boy decided to find him, hoping somehow the sage could explain why his life felt so empty, and why no matter how much time passed, he never seemed to move forward. The wise sage sat peacefully beneath the enormous banyan tree, its long branches swaying gently in the evening wind. His face was calm, almost as if he carried no worries at all. When the boy approached him with frustration and confusion in his eyes, the old man smiled softly and motioned for him to sit beside him. For a few moments, there was only silence. Then the sage looked deeply into the boy's eyes and said, "You are not failing because you lack talent. You are failing because you believe time will wait for you." The boy lowered his head, unable to answer. Then the sage began telling a story that would change his life forever. "Many years ago," the old man said, "there lived a generous king who loved his people dearly. One day, while walking through the marketplace, he saw a poor man shouting angrily in the streets. The king recognized him immediately. He was an old classmate from childhood. The sage described how the man had fallen into misery. He was unemployed, rejected everywhere he went, mocked by society, and drowning in hopelessness. Every door in his life seemed closed. The man cried to the king, saying nobody trusted him because he never completed anything on time. Seeing his suffering, the king felt compassion. He placed a hand on the man's shoulder and offered him a life-changing opportunity. "Tomorrow," the king said, "my royal treasury will be opened only for you. From sunrise until sunset, you may take as much gold, silver, and treasure as you can carry. Everything you collect will belong to you. But remember, once the sun sets, the gates will close forever." Hearing those words, the poor man could barely contain his excitement. That night, he imagined a completely new future. No more poverty, no more humiliation, no more suffering. But the next morning, when the sun rose brightly across the kingdom, the man made a small mistake that slowly destroyed everything. Instead of rushing to the palace, he smiled to himself and thought, "There's plenty of time." First, he decided to enjoy a long breakfast. Then he rested for a while after eating. Later, while walking toward the palace, he became tired from the afternoon heat and stopped beneath a large, shady tree. "Just a short nap," he whispered to himself. "The treasury isn't going anywhere." But when he opened his eyes again, the sky had already turned orange. Panic exploded inside him. His heart pounded as he jumped to his feet and ran desperately toward the palace gates. The streets blurred around him as the sun slowly disappeared behind the horizon. "Wait!" he screamed breathlessly as he reached the palace. But it was too late. The massive gates were already closing. The guards looked at him with pity. The opportunity was gone forever. And in that heartbreaking moment, the man finally understood something terrifying. He did not lose the treasure because he lacked opportunity. He lost it because he believed he had more time than he truly did. The sage fell silent for a moment, allowing the weight of the story to settle deep inside the boy's heart. The evening wind moved gently through the banyan tree as the old man looked toward the fading sunlight in the distance. Then he spoke softly, but every word struck the boy like thunder. "Do you understand now?" he asked. "Life itself is the treasury." The boy remained frozen in silence. The sage continued, "Every sunrise opens the gates to new opportunities. A chance to learn, a chance to improve, a chance to become the person you were meant to be. But every sunset closes those gates forever, and once a day is gone, no power on earth can bring it back." Suddenly, the story no longer felt like a story. The boy saw himself in the poor man. Every delayed assignment, every wasted afternoon, every dream he kept postponing flashed through his mind like painful memories. He realized he had been standing outside his own treasury for years, convincing himself there would always be more time. His chest tightened with regret. Deep inside, fear began growing stronger than comfort. For the first time in his life, he imagined what his future could become if he never changed. A life filled with missed opportunities, broken potential, endless excuses. The thought terrified him. Tears slowly formed in his eyes as he whispered, "Have I already wasted too much time?" The sage looked at him with compassion and gently shook his head. "No," he said. "Your treasury is still open." The boy looked up quickly. Hope flickered inside him again. But then the sage's voice became firmer. "Listen carefully. One day, it won't be." Those words pierced straight into the boy's soul. The old man pointed toward the setting sun. "Time does not stop for anyone. Not for the rich. Not for the poor. Not for the talented. Not even for the young. Every day you delay your purpose, another piece of your future disappears." The boy lowered his head, overwhelmed by the truth he had spent years avoiding, but something inside him had finally awakened. The excuses that once comforted him suddenly sounded empty and foolish. When he finally stood up from beneath the banyan tree, he was no longer the same boy who had arrived there earlier that day. There was pain in his eyes, but also determination. For the first time in his life, he understood that his future would not be decided by luck, talent, or fate. It would be decided by how he used the time he still had left. The very next morning, something was different. For the first time in years, the boy did not tell himself later. When his mother asked for help around the house, he stood up immediately. When his teachers assigned homework, he completed it the same day instead of pushing it aside. The small habits that once controlled his life slowly began losing their power over him. At first, the changes were difficult. His mind still searched for excuses. Rest a little longer. Start tomorrow. You still have time. But every time those thoughts appeared, he remembered the image of the palace gates closing forever, and that memory pushed him forward. Day by day, he became more disciplined. He started studying seriously, focusing in class, and reviewing lessons every evening instead of wasting hours doing nothing. Soon, he picked up the guitar he had abandoned months earlier and began practicing consistently. Slowly, beautiful music replaced the silence of procrastination that once filled his life. But the biggest transformation was happening inside him. The boy who once avoided responsibility now looked for ways to improve himself every single day. He helped his parents without being asked. He even began teaching younger children in his neighborhood, encouraging them not to repeat the mistakes he had made. With every completed task, his confidence grew stronger. The shame and frustration that once followed him everywhere slowly disappeared. His teachers noticed the change almost immediately. They praised his effort, his discipline, and his new attitude toward life. His parents watched proudly as their son transformed into someone reliable and responsible. Even his friends began admiring him. The same boy who used to waste every opportunity was now becoming an example to others. Months passed, and then an entire year. By then, people barely recognized the old version of him anymore. He became known as one of the most punctual, hard-working, and dependable students in school. Opportunities that once passed him by now seemed drawn toward him because he was finally prepared to act on them. Years later, the boy grew into a successful young man. Whenever people asked him the secret behind his success, he would smile quietly before giving the same answer every time. "I learned something most people realize too late," he would say. "Time is the only treasure we truly own." And he meant every word, because he understood that success did not appear magically overnight. It was built moment by moment, choice by choice. Every single day a person decides to stop wasting the precious time they have been given. The truth is, most people are living exactly like the poor man in the king's story. They wake up every morning believing there will always be more time, more chances, more tomorrows. So, they delay their dreams, ignore their potential, and continue waiting for the perfect moment that never arrives. But life does not pause while people hesitate. Time keeps moving silently forward, whether we are ready or not. And that is what makes procrastination so dangerous. It does not destroy lives all at once. It destroys them slowly, quietly, one wasted day at a time. Laziness whispers comforting lies into people's minds. Rest a little longer. You can start next week. There's still plenty of time. But while those excuses feel harmless in the moment, they are quietly stealing entire futures behind the scenes. Dreams disappear. Opportunities fade. Potential dies unopened. So now, ask yourself honestly, what dream have you been postponing? What goal keeps waiting inside your heart, while fear, doubt, or comfort holds you back? What opportunity are you still delaying because you believe you have more time? Don't wait until the gates begin closing to realize what you could have become. Start today. Start now. Even one small step can change the direction of your entire life. Remember this powerful truth. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is now. No matter how much time you wasted before this moment, your treasury is still open today. But one day, it won't be. Thank you for spending these meaningful moments with Lessons for Life Tales. If this story touched your heart or reminded you of something important, take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and share this message with someone who may need it right now. And always remember, while you are listening to these words, the sun is still moving across the sky.